The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, is set for a mandatory review on July 1st, but the process that was expected to be a routine has now become a little less clear. President Trump has raised the possibility of exiting the USMCA, a trade pact that was signed into law in July of 2020. While private musings and polling of staff members is not a surefire sign the president intends to act, it signals early posturing ahead of key negotiations. Mexico and Canada are two of the United States' biggest trading partners, although the relationship has become more strained in recent months. Uncertainty regarding the future of the trade pact brings more uncertainty for the future of key commodity exports as well. One of the highlights of the agreement was its specific call out to benefit American farmers, ranchers, and agribusinesses through the stated goal of modernization and strengthening food and agriculture trade across the continent. In fact, agriculture was the third chapter of the agreement after definitions and rules for the treatment of goods and market access. When enacted in 2020, the top U.S. agricultural exports were corn, with dairy, pork, soybeans, and beef all falling in the top 10. Today, the top 5 exported commodities are soybeans, corn, tree nuts, and dairy products for the current fiscal year. Exports of corn, pork, and dairy have seen significant growth to Mexico and Canada in those recent years. In November 2025, the U.S. legislators' Ag Trade Caucus co-chairs submitted a press release touting the successes of the USMCA. They reported that since the agreement went into effect, overall U.S. ag exports to Mexico and Canada increased by $10.7 billion and $7.6 billion, respectively. While exports have increased, imports from the two countries grew at a faster rate than exports. By 2024, the U.S. agricultural trade deficit with Mexico and Canada rose to a combined $31.8 billion. Now, why do these early discussions matter? While the USMCA is not set to be reviewed until summer, the early posturing could be seen as a review of high-pressure negotiation tactics when leaders come to the table. Reporting on these comments also led to a response from Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada. Carney has taken actions to bolster Canada's trade relationships outside of the agreement, including with China. With other countries looking for stronger external relationships early rather than relying on the USMCA, it could reduce some of Trump's leverage. Now, the Trump administration has been demanding major concessions from Canada before the beginning negotiations. For example, the U.S. is seeking an entry fee from Canada, which could include changes in Canadian trade practices, including market access. Earlier this year, Mexico and Canada also announced a bilateral agreement targeting critical minerals, port infrastructure, supply chain security, advanced manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and technology. The agreement is intended to exist parallel to the USMCA, but its existence reduces both countries' reliance on U.S. trade for those particular areas. Now, we won't know anything for certain until the USMCA review begins in July, but the actions all three countries have taken until then will be fresh in mind when they begin formal discussions on how and whether to continue their partnership. The uncertainty matters. Mexico and Canada have been key drivers of demand growth for U.S. corn, pork, and dairy. Any disruption to USMCA introduces downside risks to those export flows and added volatility as the July review approaches. Thanks for watching. I'm Dawson Schmidt, and this has been a special report from Trader PhD.